Oops. There we go. Am I gonna be writing? It is the weekend tomorrow, so it's not like I'm in a rush, but you know, I still want to maximize the most out of my day. I literally spent most of today doing nothing. There. Excuse me. Is my audio alright? Okay, it's alright. Here I thought I was complaining to no one. Well, I guess that's technically true. Anyway, I have no idea why, but I just felt like playing Genshin and recording it. So here we go. I guess I'll be continuing the Aranara story.
The next episode was technically supposed to be on Aloy, but I think I might need a bit more time making hers because one, I don't even know what the hell she does, and two, there's like no footage of her. So if any of my viewers happen to unironically play Aloy, please ping me in my Discord server, link is down below. I kinda need a bit of help in getting some footage. To make up for it though, here's an episode on everyone's favorite little terrorist, Klee. As usual, I need to make a disclaimer in case the Klee mains find out where I live. This video is not a personal attack, nor is it meant to slander or deride the character or anyone who plays her. The goal of Why No One Plays is to discuss characters who aren't used very much or sought after, analyzing why they're unpopular, and to possibly figure out ways we can improve their gameplay, you know, beyond simply making them stronger in damage or numbers.
I did some fishing while I was at school. Yes, that's how bored and how little stuff I actually had to do today. Despite it being exam weeks.
Many characters who can wield catalysts, one way going for them is their passive
I'm very excited.
All of their attacks automatically do
Yao Yao's gonna release soon with the lantern, right? I can get her for free.
Theoretically, that sounds amazing to have on a damage dealer, compounded by the fact that she's on the strongest offensive element.
It's still a really long time
one department that Pyro
before I can get C6.
Came out was range. Almost every decent Pyro character was locked to melee, Bennett, Hu Tao, Xiangling, Diluc, and so on. So Klee had the potential to really stand out as a ranged damage dealer, but it soon became evident that she was a ranged character in name only, which sucks.
I'll remind you again, the law can be both a help and a hindrance.
She bursts out in entire forms. She's the daughter of Alice, supposedly one of the most powerful mages in the world. She's the famous smart man, you know, like a lot of descriptions about how her small appearance belies the fact that she can blow up a continent, and yet that doesn't really translate too well in game. So let's break down what's wrong with her.
Yeah, her damage scaling is fucking atrocious.
User experience. Klee used a usability nightmare, and arguably the worst in the entire game. That seems to be a running trend with a lot of unpopular characters. There are so many factors preventing you from being able to comfortably play her, that to many, it begs the question, why even bother? To elaborate, let's first go with the biggest problem with her kit, her auto attacks. Catalyst users have an interesting way of dealing damage compared to physical weapons. Rather than weapons carrying the hitbox or the arrows being the source of damage, catalysts inflict elemental damage by default, appearing at the location of whoever's in range in the form of bursts of elements. This applies to Mona, Sucrose, Kokomi, Barbara, and Lisa. There's another group of catalyst users that fire long-range auto-homing projectiles as if they were using a bow. That would be Yanfei and Ningguang, launching fireballs and geocrystals respectively. And then there's Klee. Despite being a catalyst user herself, she doesn't actually use it in the conventional sense. Everyone knows she likes to create bombs, and obviously what do you do with them? You throw them. Realistically, her stubby little hands can only throw so many at a time. As a result, Klee has, in my knowledge, the slowest attack speed out of any DPS character, being able to attack only 3 times per rotation with long animations. Yes, I know Ningguang only attacks once, but she has 2 projectiles per hit and she can cancel them really easily. There is a way to circumvent this by animation canceling, where you buffer a jump or sprint right after the attack comes out, but ideally you don't want to use sprint because that stamina can burn through very quickly, and Genshin's jump animations aren't too easy to control. If you think of Minecraft, it's really easy to jump and hop around while attacking enemies with either a sword or a bow. Very fluid and natural, one doesn't detract from the other. Then there's games like Fortnite, which are predicated on keeping yourself moving at all times, jumping around while shooting and building so as to avoid taking enemy fire. The physics engines in each of these games were designed with the intent that players are going to be inputting action commands as they jump and move around, and so they wanted to make it as seamless as possible. Genshin's combat system does not allow for simultaneous input. You can't jump and attack at the same time. You can't sprint and attack at the same time. In other words, Klee has clunky moves that need to be animation cancelled to be good, but jump animations are clunky themselves and the timing is rather strict. I'm not sure how much better it is on other Catalyst users, but it feels like Klee's auto attacks miss a lot more since they're not homing projectiles or explosions. One might think
I'll
maybe
go get
her
some more
charged
in the
attack
bless
is where money's at.
some
Not
sometime.
quite. Her charged attack targets
Maybe.
a small area in front of her
We'll
for
try
a chunk
Aloy
of
again.
fire damage. Because it has an explosion
Just feel
property,
like it.
it knocks back smaller enemies, requiring her to waste stamina to chase after her targets. Being a small body type also means she has the shortest immediate dash range, so you burn much more stamina than if you were playing, say, Ningguang, who's a tall body type. This matters because Catalyst users have the highest stamina cost on charged attacks out of any weapon type, 50. Even with max stamina, you can only get about 3 to 4 hits out before you have to recharge. For Klee, this number goes down to 2 since you can't auto-cancel her charge attack like you can her normal ones. There's also a massive issue of range. Klee's charge attack can do a lot of damage, but it can only hit directly in front of her, like point blank. It looks shorter than certain melee charge attacks. It would be one thing if she can artillery fire someone from 10 meters away, but the range is so bad she has to be right in front of someone to damage them. Catalyst users also have the lowest health and defense out of any class, so she's effectively a class cannon, a very inconsistent one at that. In light of their high stamina cost and lack of free aim the way bow users can, Catalyst users are the worst weapon type to have as a main
And there's someone else I wanted to see.
Klee's rather hard to use, not because her damage is low, rather how that damage is applied. A major component that limits her effectiveness is that her damage is spread across dozens of smaller hits as opposed to a single giant nuke.
I should do History class one of these days.
Suffer from this very issue as well. Klee's elemental skill tosses a bouncing bomb that deals damage on each bounce before exploding on the third one, splitting into several mines, which can explode upon contact with enemies or after a period of time. Now to her credit, she can store 2 charges of jump DW, and if a singular enemy were to detonate the entire cluster of mines, we're talking a lot of damage. But Klee applies Pyro too fast and too often to where it's hard for her to consistently chain Vaporize or Melt for maximum damage. Sparks and Splash is a buff that allows her basic attacks to deal subsequent AoE Pyro damage with each attack, increasing her overall effective DPS. But that also means she doesn't have an effective burst option the way other top DPSers do. And that's really unfortunate since Mona's synergy with Pyro characters can straight up one-shot bosses. I'm not saying this makes Klee unviable, but as mentioned in previous videos, elemental reactions in their current state favor a single powerful strike over death by 1,000 cuts. In order to optimize Klee's damage, there needs to be a support unit who can apply Hydro or Cryo as fast as she applies Pyro, and at the moment that's impossible. Shinto comes the closest, but even then, he can only chain Vaporize on like 2 out of every 3 of her attacks. On another note, usually to compensate for the lack of range, melee attackers have much better area coverage and the natural property of being able to hit all enemies that are within range of their attacks. Firstly, bow users can only strike one person at a time with their aim shot, in exchange for being able to attack from a far distance. And that's also why Ganyu is top tier because she has amazing AoE damage while being ranged. By that logic, you would think that Klee's poor range would allow her more area coverage to compensate. On paper it does, but in practice not so much. Just by looking at her charge attack as a small circle in a
This
very
guy,
specific
the guy
area
I'm
in
watching
front
is
of her,
literally
Tucky
talking
Tucky's
about her
go-to
right
is
now.
the mines and
Klee.
Sparks and Splash do area damage as well. In fact, Klee's entire kit does AoE Pyro damage. It was so funny watching her character spotlight video because the narrator was saying AoE Pyro damage every 2 seconds. It became a meme.
AoE Pyro damage, AoE Pyro damage, AoE Pyro damage, AoE Pyro damage, AoE Pyro damage.
Yet despite having the potential to hit multiple targets with each attack, their effect radius is too small to
Ultimately,
be
Anne
reliable.
Faye is
The
still
only way you can
actually
easily
stronger
hit
with
large groups
Crimson
of
Witch.
enemies is by corralling them with Kazuha or Venti. Once again,
So
it's
goddamn
better to
it.
have one giant attack than a bunch of small attacks, both in damage and area coverage. Aside from high damage, what do Hu Tao, Shanling, Bennett, and Diluc have in common? Insane area of effect, especially with their elemental burst. Hu Tao's Spirit Soother covers 360 degrees around her. Diluc is the king of AoE damage. He essentially conjures a tsunami of fire. Shanling's got a Pyronado, a spinning Beyblade that orbits you for quite a long time, and even though people don't necessarily use it for the damage, Bennett's Passion Overload is also a massive nuke in a large area around him. Contrasting their attacks with Klee's, you'd be hard-pressed to even call Sparks and Splash AoE damage. In her defense, if you manage to overcome all of these hurdles, Klee's damage is terrifying. She has virtually endless uptime unlike most Pyro units, and can dish out incredible damage in the right circumstances. It's just that the margin for error is far too high for not enough reward relative to the amount of work you have to put in. Incidentally, what really bothers me about Klee is that her kit forces her to be a main DPSer, but there are so many things about her that would make much more sense as a sub-DPS like Shincho or Shogun. Much like Kokomi, I feel like MiHoYo intended for Klee to be your primary attacker, but the way they designed her accidentally happens to make her a fantastic backup DPS in concept. Interestingly enough, she has energy battery capabilities thanks to her passive talent and Constellation 6. Normally, main DPS units only restore their own energy, but Klee's two abilities can charge her entire party. Her supportive capabilities stretch beyond that. Constellation 2 causes their mines to lower their target's defense by 23% for 10 seconds, entailing she has some viability as a breaker, as you can swap to her, toss out her E, then swap right back. 10 seconds is a long time too, could be good for quick swaps. And speaking of quick swap, Sparks and Splash is a lot like Shincho's Raincard.
It doesn't matter if I can't get the max 3 stacks, I still get more pyro
We have
damage
yet to see a
bonus.
character that turns you into a one-man vaporized, melt, or overload reactor, and that's the
Wow,
whole
this is
reason
still
why
actually
Shincho is so
pretty good.
strong, his ability to cause passive hydro application. The two ultimates are almost identical to each other, so I fail to understand why Klee's disappears when she switches out. Now, she does have Constellation 4, which triggers a massive explosion if she switches out while her elemental burst is in effect. But I think a lot of players would much rather have the burst remain on the active party member. Moreover, Klee gives a 25-second 10% bonus pyro damage buff with her ultimate on C6. For Constellation 6, it may not be the greatest thing out there, but 25 seconds of bonus pyro damage is a very long time. And something else that's tied only to her, I believe, is that those Jumpty Dumpty mines can be moved around by Anemo attacks. Jin, Kazuha, Sukulos, and Anemo Traveler's elemental skills can force enemies to take damage from all 8 of those mines, instead of having to wait for them to carelessly walk over them. There's a lot of possibilities for Klee to play as a sub-DPS unit if only they fully went in that direction. But let's assume, at the current moment, we're trying to make her feel better to use as a main DPS. What can we do? Catalyst users suffer the most from a lack of retargeting. Melee attacks don't need to be aimed since they just hit right in front of you and around you, but bows have aim shot to allow you to selectively choose who you want to attack from afar. Catalysts have auto-targeting. They're somewhat reliable, but it would be infinitely better to give Klee some semblance of targeting. For example, the longer she holds the left click, the farther her charged attack will go. She's a ranged attacker with a charged attack that has less range than even some melee attackers. Speeding up her attack animations to weave together would do wonders for her too. Jumpty Dumpty has a long cast time and can't be animation cancelled alongside her charged attack. Actually, just remove knockback on every character, period. There's almost never a situation in which you would want to push enemies away from you since the goal is to kill them. Things like Demon's Burst is fair since the Phoenix inflicts persistent damage as it travels.
Flags up!
But at the end of the day, the
And
goal
leap!
is to keep enemies within striking distance.
Leave
That's
it
why
all to-
characters like Venti, Kazuha, and Sukuros are so good to use because they can force a lot of opponents into a small area to one-shot them.
Shiver!
That said, I don't think it would be wise to change any of her abilities fundamental attributes though. You don't want all
Flag
characters to
fly!
have the same
And leap!
skills.
Break a leg!
I'm fingers her right now, but if we ever get new characters that can match her frequency of attacks, that would solve the issue outright. Longly is a character with a lot of
Midnight Phantasmagoria.
multi-skill elements that
Judgment!
there's some weakness, but she's a main DPS. She's got a ton of damage on her, but it's in the form of
Flags up!
small things.
And leap!
One big one.
Strike is one! I summon the lights out. You can't run! As a dutiful maid would,
God damn you, Hawkeye.
I must leave no stone unturned. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Oh,
I'll catch
let's
up.
go one more.
Flags fly. And step.
Okay, so why is this team
You're
so
grabbed
good
now. Judgment.
at keeping Yugen's first up time?
Yeah.
Also, how am I dealing such
You
good
can't
damage
run.
right now against this bastard?
Observe. Leave it all to me. Ja. Judgment. Shiver. By royal decree.
off 1,000 small hits instead of one big one. She's a range user with very poor range. Being a catalyst user, she has low durability, and her attacks, while powerful, are super clunky. There's one other thing that has me concerned. We already know Alice will be a playable unit in the near future, otherwise they wouldn't have spent so much time building her up to be this legendary explorer niche, what with Albedo saying she's stupid busted and her reputation spanning far and wide. If she's anything like her daughter, that means Alice will possibly be a far superior version to Klee. Both are mages, both love to blow things up, and both are kind of batshit crazy. Then again, I don't think she'll be coming anytime soon, so we'll cross that bridge when we
What
get
am I
there.
doing?
Now, something I thought about after having made a few Why No One Plays episodes is whether or not every unit should be changed to be good at all. When I talked about Zhongli, I mentioned how MiHoYo overbuffed the character and they likely won't and shouldn't backpedal on those buffs because that would disillusion a lot of players into thinking they were baited to pull on the rerun. But that brings up a point for debate. Should we even bother making Klee or Keqing or Kokomi better? Remember how everyone was clamoring for Shogun to get buffs because everyone thought she was bad, although now we realize that she's actually really broken, right? To some extent, it would be nice for every 5-star character
What?
to be
People
viable
thought
so
she
players
was-
have more creative agency in designing parties and playing whoever they like. But no matter how narrow that
Were
gap
I
is,
one
there
of
will
those
always be
people? I don't
characters that are better
remember.
than others no matter what. And despite all I've said about Klee, she's not bad. Yes, we have Hu Tao, who is invariably the strongest Pyro DPS unit in Genshin so far, but that doesn't translate to Diluc and Klee being bad. Objectively, they're very respectable 5-stars and can more than serve as your party's main. Much of what I said in this video is related to why people don't like to play her as much as the others, which despite what
Oz,
some
reveal thyself!
is an indicator of their
Out of step!
Anyways,
Strike
that's
is
all I have to
one.
say about our adorable
Shadow
arsonist.
Raven,
Let me
let
know in the
night
comments
fall.
down below what your thoughts
You
are
can't
on
run.
it. For the time being,
I must leave no stone unturned. Time to clean up.
if you want to see more content like this. Also check out my main channel if you play League of Legends by any chance. I do discussions over there as well. Apart from that, feel free to follow me on Twitter, join my Discord
Someone needs
server,
assistance.
have a look at Genshin community if you'd like to join, and be sure to watch my previous Why No One Plays episodes if you haven't yet. But until next time, thank you all so much
By
for watching.
royal decree.
Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Flags up.
Take care.
And leap! Judgment!
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Why No One Plays for Genshin. We're gonna take a break from roasting the 5-stars given that the past 5 were all 5-stars, although I'd be hard pressed to call Aloy and Traveler one, but the game says they are, if only nominally. I was torn between making a video on Lisa or Xinyan first, so I went ahead and made a cute video over and the final result was 6-4.
Oz, reveal thyself! You can't run! Lights out. Break a leg! And leap!
This video is not a personal attack, nor is it meant to ridicule the character or anyone. The goal of Why No One Plays is to discuss characters who aren't used very much or sought after.
Flag fly! Observe!
We're discussing
Leave it out to- Yeah!
gameplay.
By royal decree!
Also, please remember everyone is fine. These characters in the game just complete most, if not all of Genshin's content. So at the end of the day, play whoever you like. Just be like the Keqing mains and pray to the wife of gods that she'll get love one day. Xinyan's time to Genshin Impact is one of misfortune, I'd say. She was released very early on in the game right alongside Zhongli in version 1.1. Yet despite being around for over a year, there's never been any general acknowledgement of her in the meta. Just like
Oz, repeat
has received
judgment.
some level of exposure, either through her fans or a time or the popularity with her community. As an example, while not many people use Razor, Noelle, and Barbara these days, they were very good units to have in version 1 when there weren't that many characters to work with. And at one point, there was even speculation that Max Constellation Razor was stronger than Keqing. Others are given attention for their incredible supportive capabilities, namely Shanling, Xingqiu, Sucrose, and Bennett. Then of course we have Kaya, Lisa, Ningguang, and Toma, who don't have the most practical kits, but have a memorable personality or role in the story. And you know, because that's why
Shiver!
Aside from Aloy,
Midnight Phantasmagoria!
most forgettable character in
I must leave no your grand finale! Judgment! As a good knight should.
That sense, if her design and personality didn't capture the hearts of the community, the only other way to still games, right? That is in pretty tall order, as previously established in Amber and Grease. Pyro has no
Someone
shortage of contenders.
Serve.
Beta, so these invisibility pyro
Strike is one. Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Lights
Cut
out.
to the best support 4-star units in the game are also pyro.
Huh.
Shingan was already at a disadvantage. In one area, neither they nor
Leave it all to me, as a dutiful maid would.
Yes, their Shackling is quite viable as an DPS unit. Hardly anyone uses her in that way when she can do 99% of the same stuff as a stun attack. Fortunately, that's exactly what Shingan does. In fact, not just a damage dealer,
Flags
she's
out.
also kind of a tank. She is the first one of her kind.
By royal decree, you can't run.
And at the time, even now to an extent, the roster was dealing with a scarcity of DPS 4-star units. It was really only Vishal, Razer, and maybe V1. Beto's power wasn't fully recognized until much later into the game's development. So how did Shinyan do in this department? Not too great. She's suffering from a bit of an identity crisis. Her entire kit is at odds with itself. She's a damage dealer but has a lot of elements that give off the impression of a support. She's a physical attacker yet can't achieve superconduct without external help. She's a mid DPS but has long cooldowns and
Noelle isn't working. I have 3 DPSs and 1 support.
Essentially,
This isn't
you
working.
can never quite use 100% of her power, because if you spend fully into damage or defense, you miss out on the other, while splitting your resources leads to mediocre results.
I
on
could
both
try
ends.
Yellen
Is she a
instead.
damage dealer like Hu Tao? Is she a tank like Noelle? Is she a support like Zhong Li? Is she a
Rosaria
bruiser like Beidou?
goes
The
back
lack
to
of
being
a clear
support
role for her
here.
makes it difficult for people to associate a reason to want to use her. Those of you who watched my Kokomi episode may remember hearing something similar to this. In class-based games, it's almost always better for a character to excel in one particular role, rather than be decent at 2 different
It's time to
ones.
pull the
In
trigger.
order for someone to stand out as a jack of all trades, they have to be extremely good in 2 departments like Bennett. He gives your team amazing regeneration and a ridiculous attack buff, augmenting your offense and defense at
Can't
the same
sleep?
time. Xinyan is only average at
Let's
both,
go
and
for a
serviceable
walk
at
then.
best in one or the other. To elaborate, we can break down every conflicting detail about her, starting with her shield. Sweeping Fervor grants her a shield that increases in value for every enemy
I could go
struck.
Shackling for
Numbers are
melting.
contingent on her defense. The only other aspect of her kit that scales
But,
off of defense is her
freezing is
Constellation
fun.
6, which gives her bonus damage on her charge attacks equal to her defense. Doesn't sound too bad at first glance. Half of your defense is added to your offense. It's reminiscent to Noelle's Constellation 6, except her defense boost goes straight into attack power, which applies to everything. So those are her defense parameters. Now let's look at her attack ones. What determines if a character is meant for support or offense largely comes down to their talents and constellation. All 4 of her main constellations promote built-in damage. Fatal Acceleration
Frick, I didn't mean to.
built-in damage. Fatal Acceleration gives her bonus attack speed upon scoring a crit. Impromptu Opening automatically forms a level 3
This
shield
song
on
sounds
top
familiar.
of guaranteeing the initial physical hit is a crit strike. Wildfire Rhythm is a simple physical res debuff, but given how insular physical damage is, it's basically only for her, and we already talked about her C6. Where this becomes a problem is that Xinyan's offense and defense do not work with each other at all. Unlike Zhong Li's shield, for instance, which causes
I
her
should
to
turn
deal
that off.
effectively 25% bonus damage to all enemies, Xinyan's second passive gives her 15% bonus physical damage while the shield holds. However, in order to make it last, you need to build defense, defeating the purpose of getting that 15% physical damage since you lost damage trying to get it. You could make a case that players should just ignore her shield and spec full damage, but therein lies the problem. A character with a dead ability is a bad character. Common sense dictates why would you bother investing in a unit who has something that is completely worthless versus a unit
Well, I haven't
who
done my
relies on
bounties
their
and
attributes.
requests.
I believe Xinyan was intended to be a bruiser, an attacker who's slow but hits very hard. What ended up happening though was that she's
Let's
half
do them.
tank and half DPS. For instance, if they wanted to make her a bruiser, the shield would have to scale off of attack, not defense. But let's assume for the time being we can disregard her shield and
Dang
spec all
it, there's
points
one
into
kill
damage.
quest,
That's where
whatever.
the next problem comes from. Physical damage dealers acquire the bulk of their power from the elemental reaction Superconduct, a combination of cryo and electro that inflicts a burst of cryo damage to all enemies nearby, while reducing their physical resistance by 40% for 12
Pyro.
seconds, which means you get essentially a 1.66 times damage boost for the duration.
And
That's a
I
version
need
2.4.
Dandro.
The only other dedicated physical attackers in the game are Yula and Razer, who conveniently already happen to fit one part of the equation, thus only requiring you to dedicate one other party slot. Xinyan, on the other hand, is a pyro unit, which at first may seem like free amps, but she's not a pyro damage dealer, she's a physical attacker. Due to this, she requires 2 party slots to be occupied by an electro and Cryo unit just to put her on par with Eula or Razor, at which point you may as well just use Razor or Eula if you have her. In this scenario, elements only matter in the context of achieving Superconduct. It doesn't matter if you're Anemo, Geo, Hydro, whatever. If you're willing to overcome that wall, there's still two others. Unlike Noelle, who receives a flat attack boost based on her defense, Xinyan only gets this bonus on her charge attack, and charge attacks kinda suck on Claymore users because of how slow they are. But her normal attack animation is also incredibly slow despite her surprisingly high multipliers. In addition, Sweeping Fervor has an extremely long cooldown of 18 seconds, which is ironically longer than Rift Revolution, her ultimate, not to mention the need for her to hit multiple targets to get a level 3 shield, which has the pulsing damage. Constellation 2 does give you a free level 3 shield on casting Rift Revolution, but you still miss out on Wildfire Rhythm's physical break for a third of the time, since it's not the shield that inflicts the debuff, but the actual attack itself. Furthermore, each physical damage dealer carries their own advantage to combat. Eula's benefit is her immense burst damage with her Lightfall swords, far exceeding anyone else. Razor has almost permanent uptime with his ultimate and high attack speed. That and, man's got a motherfucking stand. What was supposed to set Xinyan apart from her competitors was the shield, and on paper, that would have been a fantastic niche to have, being able to face tank anything that hits you while dishing out heavy punishment in return. She basically could have been a budget version of Zhongli and Eula put into one. That's what makes her so frustrating. You can never fully use all of her
My god, the
attributes
week's
at
nearly
maximum
over and I
efficiency.
forgot
If
to
you
do
want
this
to
part
increase
of
your
my
defense, you
weeklies.
won't be dealing very much damage.
How stupid
and if
of
you try
me.
to do both, you end up with someone who doesn't deal that much damage.
Have
and
I
isn't
somehow
very
not
tanky
done
either.
bosses as
That's on
well
top of all the
while
other
we're
things
at
holding
it?
her back,
Okay.
like being a pyrophysical damage dealer. Now, there is one thing about her that I think needs to be addressed, and that is Toma. When he was introduced, everyone was quick to think of him as Xinyan with all the janks fixed, but there's been a lot of debate about whether that's really the case, so I want to clear that up first. Toma is a spear user, while Xinyan wields a greatsword. Both of their elemental skills are a burst of pyro damage in an area in front of them that gives them a shield. Xinyan's shield is based off her defense, while Toma's is based on his max health. In terms of shield value, I think Toma does win, but remember Xinyan's can deal pulsating damage. Toma's elemental burst is a burst of pyro damage along with a buff that causes the active character's normal attacks to create a shield just like his skill, while also triggering Fiery Collapse, a blast of fire in a cone in front of them. The reason people think Toma is a better version of Xinyan is purely because both of them have a shield on their elemental skill, and both have this weird split scaling between offense and defense. What they do is very different though. Xinyan is a primary physical damage dealer, while Toma is a pyro damage support. Their active shields and respective properties can be used as support, but for mutually exclusive purposes. Toma's scaling was designed much more cohesively though. His 4th Ascension passive increases Fiery Collapse damage based on a portion of his max health, which is great considering his shield is also max health scaling. He gets to simultaneously boost his power and defense through one stat. Then there's his Constellation 6, which provides an almost permanent 15% bonus damage to all forms of your party's auto attacks. Toma is a true dedicated support, whereas Xinyan is this awkward split between damage and support. However, that doesn't make them a one-to-one comparison. That would be the same as comparing Barbara and Xingqiu under the notion that they both heal. Having said that, it does highlight Xinyan's predicament. You have to jump through so many flaming hoops just to make her work, and even then, all you get is an average damage dealer. I noticed that MiHoYo has the tendency to think characters would be way too broken when they had scaling conversions, and to be fair, I don't blame them after what happened to Zhongli.
Busted.
More damage from healing bonus and health, but she's locked down to critical hits. Xinyan does get more damage from defense, but it's heavily restricted. She also presents an issue with characters that try to do
Observe.
which I think says a lot about the character gameplay design. Each of the units in my Why Don't Play series that I've made thus far have one thing in common. Something in their kit is not connected together properly. Twitching's got crazy single target DPS, but her
My
charge
guiding
attack
stars.
is away from her. Thus,
Cool.
her
Mine to
DPS.
commit.
Lee has explosive pyro
Game's
damage,
up.
but her
Fun's
attack
over.
is too short. Eagle's got a burst ultimate, but the rest of her kit requires her
Break
to
a leg.
heal for
And
periods
step.
of time. I can't help but get this feeling that
Time
we
to
just
clean
throw
up.
a bunch of random things together without proper instruction flow chart resource, or figuring out how the character works in multiple situations, almost as if it's decentralized in a vacuum. It would be one thing if this defect was associated only with 4 stars, because then we would infer the intention that makes them bad to make the 5 stars look good. But this is a correctable. Certain characters have elemental skills and bursts that make
The night is
those
cold.
together like Xinyan.
God,
Yeah,
I
on topic. This is
why
Emily.
do you guys love flying so
Gotcha.
much?
Anyway, what can be done to potentially make her better? I have 2 options.
Hey,
Solution 1,
that's a
fully
dangerous
embrace
line.
her theme of a bruising juggernaut. If Razor is supposed to be about speed and Eula is about power, Xinyan should be doing good. She obviously shouldn't have as much
Blood
damage
fly.
as Eula can
Observe.
with severity, but we can at least put her on the same level as Razor. The most obvious change is to have her shield scale off her attack, not defense, thus allowing you to spec fully into damage stats. Secondly, her Constellation 6 should instead boost her health equal to a portion of her attack. Third, change her 4th Ascension passive from increased physical damage to increased crit damage. Given that Constellation 2 guarantees her Elemental Burst will crit, it creates a natural flow from one attack to the next. She opens up with Sweeping Fervor to get a shield and damage bonus, then unleashes her ultimate for her finisher. This establishes her identity as a beefy fighter who can tank a lot of hits while dealing good damage in return. Solution 2. Make her a physical DPS support. We don't have one of those yet, and she's already sort of being used in that way, so might as well double down on it. As mentioned, 4th Ascension passive gives a 15% physical damage bonus to the active party member while the Sweeping Fervor shield holds, and her Constellation 4 breaks enemy physical resistance by 15% for 12 seconds when landing the attack. Instead of a flat amount for each, Xinyan's physical damage boost and shred should both scale off her defense, incentivizing you to go full tank to get the most value out of your shield and buffs. It's kind of the same thing as Bennett's Fantastic Voyage. The higher his base attack, the higher the damage amp within his circle. I understand Xinyan was one of their first attempts at designing hybrid scaling, and to their credit, they sort of figured out how to make it work more efficiently with recent units like Kazuha and Shogun. It's just a shame that Xinyan never got a chance to be good, and then Toma came out, which made everyone disregard her even further. Then you have to account for Bennett and Xiangling being out.
Let's finish this quickly.
Two very overpowered pyro supports that it feels almost like she never stood a chance. I think that's going to be it for today though. What do you guys think about the changes I proposed for her? Or to all the Xinyan mains out there, if you could fix her, which approach would you take? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, it'd be awesome if you gave it a like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, join my Discord server, and check out my previous Why No One Plays episodes if you haven't yet. For now though, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you for Lisa's episode, which will be coming out soon. Take care.
Yeah, I know this song, but gosh, where did I hear it?
I'll bring my seasonings.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Why No One Plays for Genshin. It took a while to figure out what to do for the next video because my first thought was to go over all the popular characters no one plays like Lisa, Xinyan, Aloy, Chi-Chi, maybe Yanfei, but I mulled it over for a bit and realized no one plays the Traveler. Well, I mean, there are probably a few people out there who use them, but for a main character, they're usually swapped out almost immediately. So for today, how about we talk about the most popular character in the game itself that actually uses Aether and referred to as Traveler. Once again, I'd like to make it this video.
Oh right, immune to pyro damage. What am I thinking? Whatever.
Here comes the catch. Busted. Incoming. Cut to the chase. Speed of light. Stronger than I thought.
Aether and Lumine are hard to get a read on. In the world of Teyvat, the only people who can use elemental power are those who carry visions, trinkets that serve as a conduit for channeling energy into whatever element they're imbued with. Yet somehow,
Good
Traveler is
eye.
able to do this not just for one element, but for all. As far as origins go, we have yet to find out where they come from, who they are, and what they're trying to do. This entails a
We
great deal
can
of
do
conjecture.
this.
We don't know what to expect going forward as the game progresses and they unlock more elements, but what we do know for certain is that they're weak, like really weak. Currently, we have access to only 3 forms, Anemo, Geo, and Electro, each with their own set of elemental skills, burst, and talents. Those elements correspond with the nations the Traveler has explored so far, Mondstadt, Liyue, and Inazuma. Sumeru, Fontaine, Natlan, and Snezhnaya will give us the remaining 4, Dendro, Hydro, Pyro, and Cryo. It's almost like MiHoYo knew Pyro and Cryo are broken, so they're giving them to us last. Anyways, despite their ostensible versatility and supposed 5-star label, the Traveler is far from a good unit, getting beaten out by the vast majority of even 4-star characters. A little incongruous considering they're the main character. You'd think these all-powerful god-smiting twins would be at the very least contending against some of the 5-stars, but nope. So what happened then? I suppose you could say it has more to do with aspects that aren't tied to gameplay than you might think. The almost non-existent usage of Aether and Lumine really boils down to the fact that they're a free character, which in gacha games is seen as low value compared to those you pull. Whether they're actually good or bad in practice is largely irrelevant because everyone has the Traveler, and therefore, they place greater importance on other characters that you obtain. A lot of video games, especially JRPGs, like to make their main characters very strong due to their significance in the story, or to give a greater sense of reward for investing in the character. After all, they were your first one, right? In Pokemon games, virtually everyone incorporates their starter Pokemon into their team because they have naturally high base stats. Of course, there are stronger Pokemon out there, but they require far more investment and you don't have the benefit of having them at the beginning to work on right away. Fire Emblem and Final Fantasy replicate this construct by making their protagonists one of the best units to have on your team, if not the best. Not saying that's always the case, you have a few dead ones here and there, but as the titular protagonists of their respective games, it would be far from a good design choice to not make them a prominent character in gameplay. Gacha games are the only genre I can think of where the main characters are almost unanimously bad, in air quotes. From a business standpoint, it makes total sense. They wouldn't want the free units to be too strong because that nullifies a large incentive to spend money on the game and get the new units. But from a gameplay standpoint, a core experience to those types of games is to utilize as many of the different units available as possible. The very reason behind the genre's name, Gacha, a capsule machine designed to give you random things with the goal of collecting every unique one. So how does this pertain to the Traveler? They, and by extension the rest of the free units, exist only to be good enough to at least make the game playable, to complete all the content there is to offer. To make them exceptional would be defeating the purpose of making other units, as no matter how
We were forced to use the
the
Traveler for a while when Dendro first came out, lol.
The more powerful ones. While Genshin is the first taste of the gacha landscape for a lot of people, Forbidden Wisdom easily deduces that Aether and Lumine aren't meant to be all that great. What kind of bothers me though is that the Traveler themselves are involved in every point of progression in the main story, and it's repeatedly, emphatically stated that they're extremely powerful. Even in the fight against Child in the Golden House, we see cutscenes of them using both Anemo and Geo simultaneously.
My guiding stars!
What? I remember that.
Game's up. Fun's over. Stars, shine for me. Your grand finale. I must leave no stone. Observe. As a dutiful maid would.
No, don't charge attack.
Flags up. And leap. Gotcha. Steady as stone. Flags fly. Not now. Flags up. Strike is one. Things are about to get dicey. My guiding stars. Leave it all to me. As a good knight should.
Essentially downgraded versions of each region's respective archons. Palm Vortex and Gust Surge give you a glimpse of Animo's crowd control capabilities, which we see in full force displayed by Venti's Greatest Skyward Sonnet and Wind's Grand Ode. Starfell's Story creates a geoconstruct that does damage and can be interacted with like terrain, while Wake of Earth creates a shockwave of geodamage in a large area, also designed to show you the various interactions within the geo element. Zhongli's abilities showcase it to its maximum potential. Dominus Lapidus summons terrain as well, but it's supplemented by a shield.
Oh my
Light
god.
is also geodamage in a massive area, but it additionally petrifies. Being the element of energy, Electro is designed to introduce you to energy-based mechanics. Lightning Blade and Bellowing Thunder both grant energy charge, which fittingly makes Electro Traveler a battery. Shogun demonstrates the offensive properties of energy by having her attacks coordinate with and strengthened by the usage of elemental skills and bursts. Given that this occurred thrice now, we can assume all future elemental variants of the Traveler will be elementary forms of the element's overarching theme. For example, Pyro MC will likely have a great focus on power, while Hydro MC might have elements of healing in them again. Correspondingly, the Archons will represent the quintessential theme of their element. What this means is that the Traveler cannot ever be strong in Genshin Impact due to how they were designed from the start. Not saying they're bad, but they'll never be great if you have the wherewithal to do so. Venti, Zhongli, and Shogun are effectively Anemo, Geo, and Electro Traveler, but infinitely better. This was such a missed opportunity in my opinion. If you think about it, as you travel to new lands, you start off as a novice with that element, but as you progress through each regional Archon story, your character becomes more and more proficient. For instance, the Inazuma storyline is the first time in Genshin where the Archon is an actual antagonist rather than an ally like Venti or a third-party observer like Zhongli. The first time you go up against Shogun, she doesn't just beat you, she destroys you. But then you go through your little anime training arc with Yae Miko and then face her again, this time putting up more of a fight. I know there's a whole lot of plot contrivance with the rematch one with the whole power of friendship thing happening.
I know, right?
The Traveler gets stronger as time goes on, reflected by the constellations that you unlock as you progress. With that in mind, it would have been an awesome design feature for their...
That happens again in fucking Sumeru, in fact.
They could have gained new properties like Geo Traveler having...
The only thing missing was me overhyping the shit with my streams.
Blade acting like Pyrus Blazing End in Smash Bros, where they stay on the field and repeatedly damage enemies for a few seconds, rather than disappearing right away. Things like that. Constellations as a system should serve to enhance a character's power, not make up for what is missing. The few things they can excel at are diluted in usefulness by terrible usability and quality of life. And when I say quality of life, I mean a complete absence of it. Perfecting a character takes a lot of investment. You have to get them a nice weapon, pray to RNGs as you get a decent artifact set in less than 1,000 resin, and spend so much more on talents that you become just as broke as Zhongli, if not worse. For Traveler, you have to do this for every single element.
Yep.
You can probably get away with the same one regardless of element, and I think most people just use Skyward Blade or Sacrificial Sword. But you have to get a new artifact set for each version, and you have to level up talents. Yes, you have to level up talents all over again. Getting triple level 10 on Anemo Traveler does not transfer over to Geo or Electro, and I have no idea why. As I explained earlier in the video, it's pretty common for the free characters to not be very good in order to incentivize players to pull gacha. But for a game that's so limited in resources, there is zero reason you should force players to renew talents on a character that will only ever be mediocre at best, especially since getting level 10 requires a kind of insight, an item that you only get one of every month at most. It would be understandable if their talent costs are cheaper, but they're just as expensive as everyone else's, multiplied by up to 7 once every region is unlocked. You also don't have on-demand access to each element at once. In order to switch from Electro to Geo, you have to teleport to a statue in Leoland to switch elements. Additionally, all the different constellations on them, they all suck. Let's look at Anemo Traveler's constellations. C2 gives you 60% energy recharge. You can get that on an artifact sunstat with just 2 upgrades. C4 makes you take 10% less damage.
They still have prototype Amber.
An ability that's already very clunky and annoying to use, because you have to charge it for maximum effect. C6 does have a decent elemental shred, but you get 20% less resistance from so many other units. Heck, even from an artifact set. Now, contrary to popular belief, just because they're replaceable doesn't mean they're unusable. We've already seen in Kokomi's episode that she's not a bad unit in a vacuum. Her insane healing makes your team nearly invincible, and she can do a decent amount of damage as a Hydro Reactor, but given that she's a 5-star unit and the demand for healing is not very high right now, it's not worth going for her because there are cheaper, more all-purpose options. Those who have her, though, do use her quite liberally. On the other hand, the Traveler is widely accessible since everyone has them, and since they're supposed to be the generalist of their element, you can make do with them for at the very least elemental resonance. For example, a lot of people have theorized that Geo Traveler is good when paired up with Ito, who should be out by the time I release this video. Electroxy has found a comfortable spot as an energy battery thanks to the amulets dropped by Lightning Blade, and Bellowing Thunder can serve as supplemental electro damage, kind of like Shincho's Rain Cutter, while supplying even more energy charge. At the very least, there are use cases for Traveler, but not many. And so you end up with a character who is supposedly meant to be the Swiss Army knife of each element, but it's just so mediocre in all of them because they don't do very much. Ultimately, the Traveler is just average. There's a part of me that agrees with the notion that free units should only be good enough to be usable. And they are. But the other part of me wonders, why did they have to restrict them so much? Farming new artifacts and talents with each element on top of the weak base stats, on top of not having simultaneous access to each element, on top of that constellations, on top of...
I'm farming for Noblesse next once I get an energy recharge.
Mid-tier, not the best unit, but they're certainly not the worst. Even
or elemental mastery, I mean.
That is probably the only one I've played where all starters are terrible. Traveler, Lisa, Amber, and Kaya. Well, Kaya is usable, but there are so many better cryo units out there. That said, there's still the possibility that Dendro, Hydro, Cryo, or Pyro Traveler will be better, so we'll have to see. Even though it's completely unreasonable to make the player reform talents for each element, it at least implies that each variant is mutually exclusive from each other and aren't beholden to the same power budget, so there's the possibility that future elements of Traveler might be S tier. Who knows? That about covers everything I have to say about Aether and Lumine. I hope it was insightful to those who needed it and entertaining to those who wanted it. If you could think of a way to improve the current Anemo, Geo, and Electro Travelers, what would they be? I know Geo Traveler is supposedly the best one of the three, but even then, that's super niche, and there's also no good Geo units in the game right now except Zhongli and Albedo. For the time being, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate if you gave it a like, really helps out the channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Check out my main channel Vars if you want to see discussion content on League of Legends. Aside from that, feel free to follow me on Twitter, join my Discord server, and lastly check out my previous Why No One Plays episodes on Genshin if you haven't yet. But until next time, thank you all so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
Yeah, Dendro Traveler is indeed good. I still can't use her. I plan to, one of these days. Honestly, if it weren't for the Dendro region being the way it is, you know, with there being so many mechanics that force you to use Dendro, and like the only character you had in the beginning being Dendro Traveler, then maybe she would have been a sleeping meta, like Bennett for a while, rather than everyone discovering how good she was right away. Food for thought.
Quietly now. Game's up. Fun's over. Hey! Make yourselves at home. I'll protect us. Ready, steady, go! Higher, higher, hands on fire!
How regretful.
They know I have condensed, but like it'll only ever auto-collect when you have enough resin and no condensed. So dumb.
Now that version 3.0 has been out for some time, the player base has spared no effort in exploring how Dendro and his reactions will shape up Genshin's gameplay. As expected, the advent of Bloom and Quicken has been Cypher's rise to some characters and elements as a whole, and with Dendro's Archon Nahida finally gracing the supernatural presence, I figured now would be a good time to finally get around to
Here comes the catch.
I was planning on releasing a piece about Dendro as an element and his characters, but I wanted to hold off on it so as not to jump to conclusions too early. Although some of you may argue this is still quite early, given there's only one Regardless, today's episode will be reviewing Dendro's characters, reactions, functions, talking about the positive and nice to have in the game's combat, as well as some criticisms on what could have done better.
Quiet
If not, this is also opinion-based and not meant to be factual. You're welcome to agree or disagree as you please. Like its peers, Dendro is an element that corresponded with some aspect of real life, in this case being nature, so trees, grass, plants, and whatnot, seeing as Dendro is the prefix that relates to trees. True to its nature, no pun intended, Dendro serves as a facilitating element, whereby whatever element it interacts with will transform and amplify its effects. Because of this, its two premier reactions, Quicken and Bloom, are part of the transformative archetype, and it very heavily depends on executing those reactions for the bulk of its pressure, much like how Anemo depends on Swirl to achieve the most results in combat. One big difference that separates Dendro from that of Anemo is the focus. Part of what makes Anemo the most powerful element in the game is how little presence it actually occupies. All it does is catalyze Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo by simulating them and distributing their pressure across a wider area or at a higher frequency, usually alongside the original elemental attacks. Dendro also has varying effects based on what it's paired with, but not only is resulting damage Dendro base or with its 4 reactions,
Things are about to get
by
dicey.
consistently applying Dendro to the targets in question. That's what the first few Dendro units were attempting to accomplish. To start, let's go over the 4 Dendro units available to us. Technically, at the time of writing this, the unit has yet to be released, but we do have a special program as a point of reference. That, didn't know, these ways in its own list like information ahead of time. I deny any association with them and their community. The reason I wanted to touch on the bullet Dendro characters is to set up the next part of the video. Dendro Traveler, aka DMC, is first, and in typical Traveler fashion, their skill set is meant to introduce you to their corresponding elements theme and playstyle, just like how Animo Traveler helps you understand Swirl, Geo Traveler teaches you about Geo constructs, and Electro Traveler is a decent battery. DMC is probably the most practical of the four Travelers in regards to how efficiently they perform what you would expect from their element. Razorgrass Blade is a blast of Dendro in front of you, very similar to Kai's elemental skill. On a moderate cooldown, it has one simple purpose: apply Dendro to nearby targets. Surgeon Manifestation follows this trend by instantiating an object that deals Dendro damage over time to all enemies within the circle. Interacting with the object can add supplementary effects to it. The premise is simple. DMC's goal is to apply Dendro easily and consistently so you can make use of it.
Busted.
Next, sharing the same theme of applying Dendro.
Here comes the
Rush, a simple quick attack that deals Dendro damage to all targets struck on the way out, and once more on the way back. While Drop Card Kitty creates a small field that deals Dendro damage in any phase just like DMC. More concentrated. Not gonna lie, Power and DMC feels somewhat redundant. I understand how one-to-one communicate the small details, but functionally their purpose is the same. Both are meant to introduce you to Dendro and its properties by offering simple yet serviceable ways to apply Dendro. From what I've heard though, Dendro Traveler edges out in value due to being less tight on execution and is overall ever so slightly more effective. One thing Collei does have over DMC, however, is that her burst is a 15-second cooldown versus their 20, which can help out with faster team rotations. Dendro's first 5-star Tignati gives off the impression of Dendro application only.
No one ever pronounces Tighnari's name correctly.
And I apologize if that's not how you pronounce it. Is a blast of Dendro damage that empowers his next 3 auto attacks to charge level 2. Almost like Envy's boss-like arrows, except more precise. This property implicitly makes it an honor DPS since it is used to use charge shots. Fashioner's Tangled Chat is a simple move. An initial blast of Dendro followed by single missiles that do more Dendro damage. Where Collei and DMC are considered supporting units on account of prioritizing the application of Dendro, especially for transformative reactions. All you have to do is apply Dendro and that's it. As a popular DPS, Tignati faces a curious problem, one that, while not exactly his fault, slightly holds him back from being better than he is right now. In contrast to an element like Cryo, Dendro is meant to enable damage, not deal damage in isolation. Mind you, it does crap loads of damage, but only through reactions, not by itself, and its initial wave of units were likely designed with that in mind. To better explain what I mean by damage in isolation, let's look at Shaw. Shaw diverges from normal expectations of Animo in that he doesn't really care about Swirl all too much, nor is he designed to achieve Swirl easily. His power stems from the sheer damage he dishes out through plunging attacks, rendering his Animo affinity in name only. It doesn't necessarily work against him, but Animo and his units weren't meant to deal raw damage in the same way that Cryo, Geo, or physical units do. It would have probably been more practical for Shaw if he was a different element, one that could serve his purpose a bit more. Tignati faces a similar issue. His kit has a lot of damage output, and he's very consistent, having a 40 cost 12-second cooldown burst that lines up with his 12-second cooldown skill. But Dendro's reactions aren't very conducive towards that kind of playstyle, especially since Quicken's Dendro sub-reaction spread deals flat damage.
I didn't get any new ones.
As you can see, DMC, Collei, and Tignati all more or less have the same function: apply Dendro damage and subsequently the Dendro status to enable Quicken and or Bloom. Nahida also shares the motif of applying Dendro to as many enemies as possible, as frequently as possible, solidifying the element's focal point being rapid, persistent application, reminiscent of Cryo and Breeze to an extent. Her elemental skill damages all nearby enemies and marks them with the Seer Skanda. Triggering an elemental reaction on anyone affected by this mark detonates it for more Dendro damage. This means you can maintain Dendro status on your targets for an extended period of time, so it works well for either Quicken or Bloom. Elemental Burst projects a massive area around it that has different effects based on what element your other 3 party members are, empowering Nahida's elemental skill to deal more damage and apply more often, and that ultimately results in more consistent Dendro application. Seeing as Dendro is fundamentally centered around transformative reactions, being able to apply it in rapid succession works to the element's advantage, since your goal is quantity over quality. More Dendro means more damage. Those of you who try to push Quicken and Bloom to their absolute limit know exactly how much damage we can get. So, at this point, we've all bore witness to what Dendro is capable of. Its power can rival that of currently popular team compositions like Taser, Soup, Chain Freeze, and National. So as far as balancing the element to be useful, MiHoYo succeeded. But there's one question with the element that doesn't seem to have an answer yet, not one in the immediate future at least. I'm aware it's only been 2.5 months since version 3, and a lot of this may come off as premature. But now that Nahida has officially been brought into the picture, she solidifies Dendro as an element and playstyle. Just like how the Traveler serves as an introductory experience to the corresponding element, the Archons epitomize it. Not saying they're the strongest character for their elements, I doubt anyone would argue Venti beats Kazuha, but they're supposed to represent the essence of their element. That's where I find my main criticism about Dendro so far. All 4 of its cast members were ostensibly designed to apply Dendro/Dendro damage, and not much else. Granted, it's a very damage-centric element as opposed to Cryo having utility reactions like Freeze and Superconduct, but Dendro's capabilities at this moment are very limited in scope. It doesn't appear to have a theme outside of its reactions, and that's a bit concerning. I know I'm about to get a ton of comments from people going, well, actually, by saying this, but when we boil down what DMC, Kale, Tsunade, and Nahida do, they all sort of do the same thing. Deal Dendro damage, more specifically, apply Dendro, making the element feel somewhat monotonous. Even back in version 1, where the other 6 elements had only a few characters, there was still an attempt to create subclasses or side roles. For example, there were 3 Hydro units at the start of the game, Barbara, Shinto, and Mona. On top of facilitating Hydro, they each had a dedicated purpose. Shinto was a Hydro buffer, providing things like super armor, damage reduction, and follow-up Hydro damage to name a few. Mona was a Hydro booster, massively increasing the
And also getting himself frozen.
For being the game's first damage per screenshot character. Barbara was a Hydro healer, or going offense to supply her team with the healthy amount of sustain. At Max Constellation, she could even revive a fallen teammate. Hydro's roster would continue to expand its niche, bringing us our first on-field damage dealer in the form of Child, and then a reactor support through Kokomi. On top of working towards Vaporize, Electrocharge, and Freeze, the characters were known for their individual strengths. Right now, it feels like all attention is on Dendro's reactions, stripping its roster of their individuality. Not a bad thing per se, half of what keeps Pyro alive are Vaporize and Melt. Guta and Shanling would be worthless without them. But even so, the other 6 elements characters are known for more than just their reactions. Point being, Dendro has no subclasses or sub-roles. We have no Dendro healer, Dendro tank, Dendro crowd controller, Dendro booster, Dendro shielder, even though Animo and Dendro shields don't exist. Stuff like that. Yes, Kale, Tsunade, DMC, and Nahida apply Dendro in their own ways, but that's all they do. One could argue that Tsunade's elemental skill taunting enemies could be seen as Dendro control, or DMC's elemental mastery buff serving as a Dendro booster, but that's not their focus. Jin's focus is on healing. Kazuha's focus is on sheer damage amplification. Venti's focus is on crowd control, Sai's focus is on mobility. Obviously all of them can trigger Swirl, that's what they're supposed to do, but that's not what makes them them. As it stands, Dendro's characters are missing their own identities. Tsunade and Nahida are both on-field DPS. Kale and DMC are practically identical on-field DPS with slight nuances in their gameplay. I feel like MiHoYo prioritized things backwards. Instead of creating a character with their own individual purpose, and then figuring out how they contribute towards Dendro's reactions, they started by figuring out how they contribute towards Dendro's reactions, and then how to do so differently from their peers. There's enough variance in how they apply Dendro to where we know how effective Dendro's reactions can be, but not enough variance in how adaptable it is. Since our current sources of Dendro application have nothing else with them, that means your Hydro, Electro, and/or Pyro units have to be the one to supply things like crowd control, shields, healing, and defense. Though fortunately, because Dendro has the potential to deal so much damage, that gives you the luxury to try out characters who weren't as popular before. Prior to 3.0, Shinobu's issue wasn't that she was weak, it's that in any situation where you needed Electro, she was never the best choice. Electro is almost exclusively damage, so your best options were Shogun, Beidou, and Fischl. However, with Dendro's reactions providing all the damage, you can slide in more utility, and that's where Shinobu's healing is very much appreciated. In other words, it's a glass half empty or half full kind of situation. On one hand, the advent of Dendro was an indirect buff to characters who didn't conform to their element status quo, opening up possibilities for team building beyond how much damage a character does. But on the other hand, since Dendro's own units don't have the other ancillary stuff like defense, shields, heals, control, buffing, etc., that forces you to search elsewhere for them, which may restrict your freedom of choice in party development. This is made even more constraining when we account for how Dendro-related characters pressure you into using very specific elements. Nilo, for instance, despite being a Hydro character, requires you to have a team of only Dendro and Hydro characters. Nahida, despite not obligating you in a yes or no way like Nilo, implicitly encourages you to comprise a team of her, a Hydro, Pyro, and Electro character. That doesn't give you very many options, and unlocks you out of using Animo or Cryo units. That is, unless you're okay with not getting the full range of benefits from Illusory Heart. I think MiHoYo purposefully limited what each Dendro character can do. In the beginning, they weren't fully aware of how broken it would be if a character like Shinto had super armor, damage reduction, healing, follow-up Hydro damage, and the benefits of Hydro's reactions. Likewise, they thought it would be too overpowered if Chi-Chi's elemental skill generated energy because of how much restoration she had. Now that we've had 2 years and change, MiHoYo has a better idea of what will turn out OP and what won't. So they likely took a more conservative approach to Dendro to gauge how prevalent its reactions would be before pulling the trigger on making characters who could do more than just apply Dendro. Even so, they were probably too conservative. There's not enough coverage for an educated guess on how strong Dendro really is because we don't have a lot of characters, and the few that we do have are too similar to each other. No disrespect to Kale fans, but I stared at DMC and Kale's kids for like an hour, and I thought to myself, there's no significant difference between the two. If your end goal is to pull off a Dendro party, they're effectively the same in function. That being said, Dendro itself was a very positive addition to the game. While I hold my stance that they could have been more creative with the first wave of mutants, the elemental editing stuff did not change any existing stuff. I use words like same or
I got a new letter from an informant. Looks like the situation has changed again.
Oh my god, I just came up with a really stupid idea while I was out getting my Nagaraya. Alright, so hear me out. So you know Yao Yao. What if how she does her healing is through the bloom reaction? Hear me out. When she uses her elemental burst.
Good roll. Alright, maybe I'll take one more day off.
She changes the properties of bloom to heal whenever it explodes. Yes, this includes enemies as well. Rather than deal damage. With Burgeon and Hyper Bloom changing the way they heal. Their strength as well as their range. Yeah, that's a really stupid idea. That's never gonna happen, right? Right?
Cannot compete with Goomba. Oh, Mario's throwing that foot out there too.
Well, he's trying.
I don't like that. Okay, stop him. Okay, Mario, you gotta stop with these flips, dude. You gotta stop with these flips.
He prepared that too.
Yeah. I think no matter what, his first time he's gonna do the flip. Like, he gets a homer, he instantly flips.
Yeah, just a little bit of showboating.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that! Look at that sweep! The Goomba sweep. Right.
Yeah, okay. Good job,
All right,
Goomba.
Terra Goomba. Up to bat. Here comes big money. No hands, no problem. That's what I always say.
Well, you have
That's
said
what I
that for
always
as long.
say.
Yep.
That we're good. We're good. Fair.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting that.
Well, I would believe
Or Joe. Oh my god, you were so lucky he's
What
too
happened?
big to like bend over properly.
Oh.
His belly got stuck on his knees and he gave up.
You ever wonder, like, if you're fat, how hard it might be to see your dick?
Yeah.
I think about that all the time.
No, like a year ago actually, that's kind of how I can gauge like how healthy I am.
If you can just, like, see it normally.
Yeah, like I'll like it's a mixture of like my posture and like my stomach. Like I can tell like whenever I've been like working out, like eating well and stuff, like I'll get out of the shower, I'll look down, like, oh yeah, I can see my cock. But then, okay, give the money back there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but then there's times where I'm like, ooh, can't really see the little guy down there. Yeah, I'm a little
Come on.
a little tough.
Just one. You need one.
Oh, that's
One run. That's
nice.
all we need.
Nice.
I'll just keep going. Why not?
Luigi, you can throw the ball!
I like how Paragoofman just walk. Wait, let's watch the replay. Oh, what a shame. Big man! Here comes home run out of the park.
That doesn't help me.
Okay.
I thought that was Al.
Yeah.
Out of the park, I mean. Not Al. Like,
Out
it was a big hit. That got tight.
Alright, you do the spin move, Goomba. Nice.
I hate the cool has to do with spin.
It's his signature attack.
Take it easy.
And look what happened. I put so much spin on it, it went straight to the left.
No, that had nothing to do with the pitch.
Oh, and you know because
Because I know, like, the very basics of baseball at the very
it's
least.
not baseball, it's physics. Hey, Goomba is a master.
Okay, can you explain the physics behind how he's doing that then?
Throws the ball, it's spin.
How does he throw the ball?
By charging up energy.
Is the ball in the glove right now?
Yeah,
How's he releasing it from the glove?
energy.
No, that doesn't make sense.
Kinetic energy, you understand?
I know what kinetic energy is. That's from heat. That has nothing to do with this. He's just spinning. Yeah, kinetic energy has something to do with heat, right?
No, it has to do with the heat on that ball. I agree with you. That Goomba's the ball. We're on the same page.
No, you can't just say. I feel like there's probably times out there where I am just confused about something, and you just tell me that we're on the same page, and I just accept
Damn
it.
you.
Not now.
That?
Don't be
Yeah,
scared.
okay, yeah.
King's
No,
up.
gotta hate
Time's
how
over.
Dixie holds the bat.
I'm set.
It's too edgy.
Yeah. It sounds like it would break your wrist, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see how you're gonna get like a good hard swing out of that too.
The
Like,
night is cold.
it's like holding a golf club like the
Frick, I need range.
Now, God, golf is like the one sport that I actually just genuinely love.
I like golf a lot.
It's so much fun.
Because it's kind of like golf, but it's kind of not.
Never heard of Ribbon King.
It's just golf, but not.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Mario wanted Donkey Kong dead. Holy shit. Okay, so Goomba, we need 3 outs, otherwise we lose probably.
Is he gonna throw a no hitter?
Show me the spin move. One more fancy spin move. Let's get Monty Mole out of here.
Put him back in the pit.
Alright, temporary
Alright, so
retreat.
spin on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very lucky. Very fortunate.
No
player.
ball. Come, Rev. Come on.
You the umpire?
Sure.
Yeah. I feel like that's very clearly like over the box.
Donkey.
If DK was there.
If DK caught the ball, that would have been an out.
This ain't working out.
Yeah, no, if DK caught the ball, it's an out. If that went to DK there also instead of going to a foul ball, that would have been an out.
Oh god, DK, jump a little bit. Wait. Oh, we got this. No, we don't.
No.
Shit.
It's fine, it's fine.
Come on. Where's the fire? Throw the flame, throw the heat. Show the kinetic energy of this ball. Oh, they're not expecting me to go inside now after all the spin moves. See?
You should hit her.
I will hit her. I'll show her what's what. Oh, come on. Dixie!
Oh, that is.
That is awful for us. Maybe if I threw it as third, we could have gotten out there. Oh, not the Noki run. Oh, no.
Oh, is that first out to you? Oh, this is bad.
Goomba beats Mario
I
every day of
promise
the
to
week.
keep you safe.
See?
I've never seen him not. Literally never seen him not.
Now, this is a winning matchup, but watch this. 3 strikes, you're
At first base.
I'm gonna go play Oimi again.
Wait, we lost on that? There's a third? No.
Time to broaden the horizons again.
Burning is feasible to maintain
Mario Baseball, but
with Nahida.
Goomba.
Goomba?
And people, the Mario Superstar Baseball Challenge runs are really blossoming.
I mean, that community is a lot bigger than I expected to be.
I need a shield,
unironically,
so
the Goomba
I
run,
trust you.
the Goomba Gambit,
Razor, I guess. Beto, I guess, I mean.
maybe we can
At 100 points, gives your team power. Everyone becomes a homer machine. Alright, steroids, baby. It's what you gotta do. It wouldn't be baseball without illegal substances now, would it?
Yeah, okay, baseball is the one sport where they love cheating. Like, they actively encourage you to cheat in baseball.
That's so true. I don't think there's ever been a sport more where cheating is that frequent and occurrent.
Yeah, like, cheating happens in all the sports, but, like, baseball people just openly cheat, and they just don't care. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of sick, but, like, there's really weird ways you can cheat in baseball, too. Like, I don't know, like, the way you can, like, put stuff on the ball.
Oh,
like,
wait, this is the big one. Look at this.
Wait.
Gotta get a hit.
Gotta get a hit. You're starting with Goomba?
Why wouldn't I? Look at that home run. Oh, no. Okay.
No.
I thought we were homer machines, but apparently that was a myth. Okay, no. Hold up. Diddy Kong got this. Charging up. Fuck. Mario, come on, bro. That little bat, get a bigger bat, dumbass monkey.
Did you save before this one,
Why
by the
would
way?
I? No.
Okay, so if we lose this, we just
Don't
lose
lose.
the steroids.
Just don't lose then. Just don't lose.
You're telling that to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not the one playing. But Alright, just one more. You just gotta get one hit.
Stupid fucking bat. Yeah, let's bring a twig we found on the ground and go play baseball. Yeah, great idea, Dixie Kong.
I mean, that's literally what the Piantas are doing. The Piantas
Okay, well,
the
they got
Piantas
the
find a tree.
tree trunk.
Yeah.
This
Dixie
thing's-
got the twig from the tree.
Yeah.
There really aren't any other
was Noki
good
noise.
weapons
Yeah, I
for
was just
Beto.
seeing that. I don't think that's in Sunshine. I just know that. Like whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't do their moan noise, but can they even hit the left side? No, they definitely can.
Not if they're, like, neutral.
Oh, okay. So they have to step up. Yeah. What? You just. I thought you were gonna jump for it.
I thought it was fine. I thought you were just...
Fly.
Yes.
Yeah, I get you, man.
It's a fucking
Alright.
thing.
Don't worry, this guy only has a tree. Alright.
We had it.
And like a little dangly nose.
I want to,
Oh,
like,
is that the
slap
Jade
it and watch the
Chamber?
gravity take its toll.
Yeah, I want to hit it like it's one of those door stoppers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a punching bag in a gym.
You're going
Oh,
to?
God. Dude,
Alright.
so,
Home run,
DK?
incoming.
That's pretty
DK
sick.
hits the gym.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I just always assume it's like
You
natural.
think it's...
for him.
Yeah, it might just be all natural. I think he's too muscular. He at least... I think DK's like a skip leg day kind of guy.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at. No, there's some little
fuck.
twigs.
Fuck. Oh, okay. Paraguma sweep, home run, incoming.
Yeah, a home run or even like a nice like second base.
No one's ready for that one, though. No one could possibly be ready for that one.
Oh my god. Mario was ready for it actually though. Mario ran straight to third base. He's like, Luigi, you dumb fuck, you've done this so many times.
Oh, okay.
Alright, if you miss Koopa, this is on you.
Did miss. Oh,
Nice.
I'll go for third.
Oh, you're greedy
No,
bastard.
we got it. He's safe.
Alright. Well, you have 2 outs to work with here. You have 2 strikes and 2 stars to work with here.
Beautiful. Oh, shit. That's fine. We're going back.
Oh.
No, we're fine. Paratroop up to bat. This ball's gonna fly high, if you know what I'm saying.
No, it is flying really high. You are the luckiest son of a bitch I have ever.
It's called playing the game.
You are so lucky that gave her a concussion. Oh my god.
Don't get concussed is my strat. Alright, you want to make it 2? You want to see what 2 looks like?
I would love to see what 2 looks like. Oh wow.
How about 3?
Oh, hello.
I see everything.
What?
They're gonna be like, oh, well, there's 2 homers. Or like 2 runs, but I guess
that would have been the...
Yeah, no,
Sweep!
Here comes 3. Oh no.
Goomba, take it home!
Dude, he needs to like start spinning here.
Beautiful! No, Noki misses. Noki misses.
Shit. Change. Okay. You're up 3 runs.
Yep.
Literally impossible to lose.
Literally, it's just, hey, when you're
Simple
Goomba,
bats.
everything is possible.
I guess, yes, especially, actually that's even more true in this context. We are more likely to lose now since we are Goomba. It's even more possible now.
Fated rivalry. Goomba versus Luigi. Get the player out. Oh, be my guest.
There's no way we don't get Luigi here.
I'm gonna throw balls, see what happens. Okay, he called it this time. Maybe
I
he
get
heard.
3 to work with though. I like this is a video game. It's really easy to not throw a ball on
Disagree.
accident.
Disagree on that one. No, that was not a ball. It was. Right with the ref.
Alright.
Okay, well,
Did we get Luigi? No. Damn, Luigi's got fucking
because
speed.
apparently those were balls and not strikes. Wrong. All of them were strikes. Luigi's bad. No, we got this. We got this. We got this. We're not gonna lose.
What the fuck?
I think they've all realized Goomba does not know how to aim. So they're just not swinging anymore.
You know, it's really difficult to
On
be
to you,
precise whenever you're
motherfucker.
spinning around at top
I have
speed.
Yoimiya now.
And just randomly allowing the ball to fly out of your glove.
Goomba just plays like a Mario Party
This can
mini
happen
game.
too, I
He just
guess.
gets spun like a top. Oh wait, which Mario Party game is it where you're like on the record player?
Dizzy dancing.
Yeah, he's just doing dizzy dancing.
Share my knowledge.
Oh my, wait, this is it. Oh, actually, no, there's still one more inning.
Dance.
But this could be it. It matters.
I mean, like, this is just good for you. Like, you can just strike out this entire, like...
Oh,
these
it's
next
not
3.
really a character for me to do. I don't think.
I
With
see everything.
Goomba on my team, really?
That... I'm sorry, man.
I thought
That should have been out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That was generous of the game. I'm just throwing that out there. You did not just...
It didn't really make a difference, but I'm still surprised it wasn't an out.
Yeah. Like, I would still go complain to the umpire about that after we got the out. Just be like, hey, for next time.
Did Dixie hit a ball?
No,
This is the time?
Mario threw the balls over her. Alright, and...
Okay.
Don't worry, we'll get to first base. It
Oh,
all
that was
starts
annoying.
with one swing.
Okay, right here.
I think Ganyu would have worked better.
Oh, wait, yeah,
That's 2 from DK.
if you're actually able to get the charge on that...
Yeah, that was money. I like DK just sitting there.
Oh, wait, I didn't even see Monty. I thought he was just throwing the ball at DK. I was like, dude, this is not dodgeball.
Beautiful. What?
Oh, shit. Oh. Smart. Yo,
Okay,
big
Koopa,
guy.
take it home. Lead DK to home base. Okay, second strike. Second stroke. Or strike. No, he's got this. No,
Yeah.
DK is eyeing him down, eyeing daggers. All right, that's home run.
That I would have counted that personally. I don't think Lactu really has a good eye.
beautiful. Get hit, miss it. Okay.
What's
All right.
Are you in danger?
So it wasn't a strikeout technically.
I'll finish them off in 3 batters. I could not think of anything easier to do.
If we do that, we get Luigi. So honestly,
Nope. Disagree.
that was like kind of close on the line.
His life. IMO.
He's never threw a ball.
Nope.
Oh, that I was like, okay.
He's throwing balls like
Yeah, but he hasn't thrown balls.
it's 2023, Joe. Like,
Yeah, everyone's throwing balls in 2023. I like. Shit, that is 2023 in like 2 days.
yeah.
That's fucked, man.
It's still December for us.
Yeah.
I just try to be like, oh, this is gonna come out in 2023.
Yeah.
Let's not date this video.
I'll date that shit. I love dating shit, man.
Yeah, you do. I always know.
It's just, I don't know, it's always neat for me. Oh, look at that. We didn't get it.
I love dating videos, and then when they get uploaded 8 months later,
That's
my
why I
favorite.
love dating videos. Cause like it started with like I don't even know, it's like Mario Maker or some shit. Like back in that time frame, there was just some video we uploaded like 2 months later, like a Super Alpharad World or something. No, what the fuck? Wow. Surely we don't lose this.
No, we can't. We look.
What's
Bottom of
the
the
deal?
third. It's bottom of the last inning. They
can
have
only get-
one guy. They have 3 outs. Even if this is a home run, that's
Why
only
not?
Don't carry the ball then.
3
If it's
runs.
impossible. Just throw it straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, just throw it straight. They're so slow. They're so slow.
That was a good idea, Joe.
Hey, like you said, though, it's impossible. It's literally impossible.
I just
Unless-
listened to your. Yeah, fuck off. He's taunting me. All right, Goomba. Goomba has ears, you know. No, he doesn't.
No,
Actually.
he has eyes, and he has 2 senses, I think. Technically. Well,
Oh,
he doesn't have a nose either.
did you see the timeline of me losing
Oh no,
that?
I just
Yeah.
remembered.
Oh,
Did you not?
no, I believe.
You believe?
Do you not believe in Goomba?
I'm
Wow.
quitting.
MVP.
That is
That's
that-
what
that's
I'm
such
fucking
cap.
talking
That is
about.
such cap. That is such cap.
How? Do you see how many people he
It
got
works
out?
way better
You
with
see how many
Dendro.
drugs he got?
No, I think we're good.
We're good.
Yeah, look at that. All right, look at this. Wait, look at Goomba's batting average.
0. Wait, he just zeros.
Yeah, MVP, baby.
Most valuable pitcher?
That's
Is that what the P stands for?
Yeah, but Paragoomba, 100% batting average.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll love to see that.
It's a pretty decent stat for him. Usually he gets 200%, but
Who's our target this time?
nice.
Yeah, but the pitcher stats, look at that, unrivaled pitcher
Time to
stats.
broaden the horizons again.
Yep.
Mario's.
Wow, you got 8 strikeouts actually. The only one you didn't get was the one that we needed to unlock Luigi.
All right, join us next time when Goomba sweeps the rest of the game.
Yep. Against Wario.
With all their complexities and room for narrative exploration, guilds are often a staple of the fantasy roleplay world.
Oh, I just remember the story I can tell. You know how, like, there was a long vacancy period? Well, like, during that time, I actually played a short little one-shot of Dungeons and Dragons with some friends, and by some, I mean one. That's actually the end of the story. I tell stories about as good as Toph. I realize. Where do I fucking go? Yo, you guys wanna die?
Nice and spicy.
Quietly now.
Nowhere to hide. Everyone hold hands. Goba, get them.
Cookie can work well with Kole. And Yoimiya by extension.
anything.
Wow, it hits behind walls.
Nice and spicy. In adventuring, as in business, you always have to seize the opportunity while it's there. Come on, enough procrastinating. Let's go.
Uno Party. How to play. The rules are the same.
100 ring.
Speed of light.
No.
Good evening, Dungeon Masters. I'm Baron DeRob. World building for its own sake is obviously a ton of fun, but too often we let the act of world building get in the way of actually playing D&D.
Gotcha.
Likely the whole reason we're doing it to start with.
Don't blink.
If that's the case, how does one know what specific things need to be prepared so we can get straight into our sandbox campaign's first session, and what framework can we use to develop those things as rapidly as possible? Events have been set in motion, and if the player characters don't stop them, the world will be irrevocably changed. But what are these events? Is an evil princess trying to enslave a powerful dragon? Perhaps a demonic warlord is trying to open a portal to the material plane. Or maybe a magic-wielding fine artist has been painting portraits they can magically spy through the eyes of and is selling them to people in power. Whatever the antagonist is, they are working to upset the status quo. In addition to understanding the antagonist's objective, it's useful to think through why your antagonist is doing these things, not just what they are doing. Vengeance, jealousy, hatred, or fear might be an underlying motivation for their actions, but a primal drive for power and security are really the only long-term stable motivations. In essence, ponder not just what this antagonist is trying to achieve, but what they fear will happen to them if they fail to achieve it. That evil princess knows she might be assassinated by a rival noble in her court, so dominating a dragon and gaining its protection before it's too late is her goal. Understanding your antagonist's fears will help inform the campaign writing process later on. With the high-level antagonist's motivations and goals mostly fleshed out, defining a regional map is a solid next step. And we don't need to make this more complicated than necessary. For example, queue up some map-making software like Worldographer and crank the Generate Random Map button until you bump into a geomorph that speaks to you. After you've made your map, define where half a dozen or so settlements exist, like villages, cities, mining camps, etc., and scatter roughly the same number of adventure sites across the terrain as well. These adventure sites are the interesting dungeons, ruins, or bizarre environments, which we'll flesh out later in the process. For each population center, ask yourself what trade, craft, or commodity the town is known for, and what unusual belief, custom, or ideology the citizens who live there observe. All the farmers take midday breaks to pray to the harvest god, or the quirky noble has banned peasants from using the color red, are the kinds of inspirational prompts which help demonstrate what makes each population center unique. Of course, powering through these 20 or so questions for a handful of towns can lead to creative exhaustion, so don't be scared to lean on random generators or steal ideas from history, literature, video games, or other creative works. A city inspired by Holland's 17th century speculative tulip market is enough words on paper to demonstrate why everyone is obsessed with unhealthy stock trading and the flower markets. Next, repeat this similar prompt building process for each adventure site. Think up and note down the location's description, and also make note of what the location's original purpose was. Orcs sleeping under a crumbling stone pavilion in a forest clearing might be a fine description, but the pavilion gets even more interesting when you note that a bygone druid circle used the bathing pool under that pavilion. These prompts will help build out the needed plot hooks for each location later in this process. Your main protagonist is extremely busy keeping their planes in motion, and need the help of underlings to accomplish specific tasks, and there is no task more important than MacGuffin hunting. Think through what goal your main antagonist has, and what people, places, artifacts, or information the antagonist needs in order to accomplish their goal. To return to our evil princess example, she might need to manufacture a crown made from dragon bronze, an unusual alloy cast in dragon bone molds and quenched in dragon's blood. As a result, the princess would need to locate mines to dig out the right materials, to slay dragons and harvest their bodies, and to retain a famous blacksmith skilled enough to handle this arcane metal casting process. She also needs a book which describes the casting process in detail. The mines, the minerals, the dragons, the blacksmith, the book, all of these MacGuffins should be scattered around the map among the various population centers, as well as buried in the various adventure sites. For added interest as well as easier quest hooking, think about what each one of these MacGuffins are able to do, or rather what special abilities each MacGuffin has outside of the antagonist's intended use. Weapons cast from metal found in a unique copper mine, for example, might be great for dispatching fake creatures, or the master blacksmith might be a powerful town mayor who has otherwise retired from the forge. These tangential abilities or skills add further interest to each MacGuffin and help drive the side plots involving them. Through these MacGuffin details, you'll build an idea farm for the various rumors your players can pick up on, and therefore rapidly get questing. Once each MacGuffin is placed on the map and we understand how some of these locations tie back to the main antagonist, it's also important to create reasons for the players to explore the map organically and find all these disparate MacGuffins. For each population center or adventure site, think through 2 reasons the location might be narratively connected to the other population centers or other adventure sites. A ruined lighthouse might have a few rare tulips rumored to be growing around the bottom of the tower, connecting this location to that Hollandesque town from earlier, but the tower might also be home to a bandit king who has kidnapped a different town's mayor's son for ransom. Even if the players are bumbling around the map while getting up to murder hobo mischief, the players can discover these bandits, save the young man from the cage in the basement, and learn from the Bandit King's journal plans to sell the tulips after destroying most of them for an exorbitant profit margin. This exercise will help define the various other factions around your game world, and what their goals and fears are as well. Once each location's set of issues are established, cramming all the needed plot points into a small flowchart-style dungeon map will enable speedy session prep at a future time. Additionally, by relating your locale's disparate plot points to each other in this way, you can create an exploration system such that wherever the players are is the right place to be. All roads lead to Rome,
What?
or rather, the sandbox is really just one massive railroad. While we're talking about adventure sites, I'd like to mention the
Where do
Kickstarter
I get
for
the
Dungeon
songs
Dice.
then?
These dice are made by the same people who created mapping tools like Hexographer and Dungeonographer, and I just want to say I have genuinely used and loved their products for years. This isn't even a paid sponsorship. These dice are great for rolling up some random dungeon map inspiration when you need a quick dungeon on the fly. If you'd like to check out the Tomb, Crypt, and Lair Dungeon Morph dice for yourself, be sure to click the link in the description below. I'll also be raffling off some of their other dice sets at some point in the future, so be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. Now back to the video. Over the span of a few hours, perhaps even just a single evening, you'll have all the stuff you need to start your campaign. But where do you start it? Your campaign is now an interconnected web of plot points which all pinball your players around the map, but there might not be a clear beginning location. If this is the case, ask yourself which adventure site you're most excited to run. Save that one for later so you have something to look forward to, and drop your players in front of your second favorite
Reverse
spot.
Quicken is kind of
Whichever
like
site you
Reverse
pick, however,
Vaporize.
you'll need to foreshadow your main
Technically,
antagonist's central plot during this
Vaporizing with
first session.
Hydro Laugh
Doing this
will
will get
deal
your
more
players'
damage,
minds gears turning
but like it's
about
way
the
better
larger story.
to use
Foreshadow this
Pyro.
plot by offering distinct clues about the
And
antagonist's
you can
goals
keep
and
the aura
motivations.
and do it more
To return
times.
to
It's
the
like
evil
3 times
princess
damage,
antagonist
technically.
example, a dead
With
herbalist
2
outside
1.5
Session
times
1's
rather
Dungeon
than
Cave
just 1
entrance, which
times
is covered
2.
in poisonous shrubs, is a great starting example. The dead herbalist
Damage
could
bonus.
have a letter in their pocket
Weapons the
signed
same.
by the princess's rival and contains orders to
Until
make
Alhaitham
poison
comes out,
feed it to the princess.
I'm pretty
Additionally,
sure that's
this
gonna be the
foreshadowing
truth.
doesn't have to have anything to do with the first session's quest either. In fact, it's likely better if it doesn't. This foreshadowing element should stick out like a sore thumb, so players puzzle over it and save the information for later. If you'd like a worksheet to guide your campaign creation using this method, check the link in the description below. Focus on scaffolding the relevant aspects of your game world and set yourself up for easy future session prep. If completed, you'll be able to improv everything else. If you'd like to help me make more content like this in the future, please consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a channel member. Thanks for watching, Dungeon Masters, and until next time, good night.
Don't blink. Hey!
I'll continue this some other day. I'm getting kinda sick of this. Sick of this. Sounds like a song.